Cancer Weekly Tarot, July 22nd to 28th, 2026. Opening. Cancer, something that felt emotionally closed may be ready to open again this week. Your card is the Ace of Cups. A new cup. A new current. A new emotional beginning. But this card does not necessarily mean a new person suddenly appears or that your entire life changes overnight. Sometimes the Ace of Cups is quieter than that. Sometimes it is the moment you realize your heart has space again. Space to trust. Space to create. Space to receive. Space to feel something without immediately protecting yourself from it. And the timing of this card matters. From July 22nd through July 28th, the Sun leaves Cancer and enters Leo. Mercury stations direct in your sign after weeks of retrograde motion. Saturn turns retrograde in Aries. So this week begins with one chapter of your personal season closing while another emotional chapter starts moving forward. You may understand something differently now than you did 3 weeks ago. A conversation may sound different. A memory may feel different. Even your relationship with yourself may feel different. The Ace of Cups does not ask you to forget what happened. It asks whether you are willing to receive what comes next without making it pay for what came before. Cosmic Weather. Wednesday marks the Sun's entrance into Leo. Cancer season ends, and the emphasis begins shifting away from identity and toward value, security, money, resources, and self-worth. After a month when the spotlight was directly on you, the question changes. What do you value now? Not what did you value last year. Not what should matter. What actually matters after everything you have recently reconsidered. Then Thursday brings the week's most personal astrological shift for Cancer. Mercury stations direct in your sign. This can feel like a knot beginning to loosen. During the retrograde, you may have revisited decisions, conversations, personal plans, or even the way you describe yourself. Perhaps you changed your mind. Perhaps someone misunderstood you. Perhaps you misunderstood yourself. Now movement returns. But Mercury remains in its post-retrograde shadow, so you do not need to force immediate conclusions. Let clarity arrive naturally. Then Sunday, Saturn stations retrograde in Aries. For Cancer, this can turn attention toward career, responsibility, reputation, ambition, and the structures surrounding your long-term direction. Something about what you are building may need revision. The Ace of Cups reminds you that success cannot be measured only by what you accomplish. The life you are building must also contain enough emotional space for you to live inside it. Card reveal. The Ace of Cups shows a hand emerging from a cloud, offering an overflowing cup. Water pours from it freely. The image is not about scarcity. It is about emotional availability. Aces represent beginnings, seeds, openings, and pure potential. Cups belong to water, your own element. They govern emotion, intuition, love, connection, creativity, compassion, and the inner life. So when the Ace of Cups appears for Cancer, the message is amplified. This is your language. But there is an important difference between feeling deeply and receiving freely. Cancer can be extraordinarily generous with emotional care. You notice what other people need. You remember what matters to them. You protect. You nurture. You hold space. But the ace asks, can the cup face upward? Can you receive as naturally as you give? That may be the deeper opportunity this week. Something is trying to refill you. Card meaning. The Ace of Cups represents emotional renewal, love, compassion, intuition, creativity, healing, and the beginning of a new emotional cycle. But beginnings do not always arrive as events. Sometimes they arrive as capacity. You may simply notice that something no longer hurts in exactly the same way. Or that you are interested again. Curious again. Hopeful again. Ready to have a conversation you previously avoided. Ready to create something. Ready to let someone closer. Ready to give yourself something you kept waiting for another person to provide. Do not underestimate that shift. Mercury turning direct in Cancer makes this especially powerful. Words that were trapped internally can begin finding their way outward. But your card advises you not to turn every feeling into an immediate decision. Feel first. Name it. Then decide what it asks from you. The ace is a beginning, not the entire story. You do not need to know where the river ends before allowing yourself to drink from it. Areas of life. Love. Love is naturally emphasized with the Ace of Cups. If you are partnered, emotional reconnection may become possible after a period of misunderstanding, distraction, or internal processing. This does not require a dramatic relationship summit. Sometimes intimacy returns through one honest sentence. Tell the truth without wrapping it in accusation. What have you needed? What have you appreciated? What have you been afraid to say because you worried about the response? Mercury direct supports clearer expression. If you are single, the Ace of Cups can indicate renewed openness to connection. That could involve someone new, but the deeper message is that your emotional world is becoming available again. Do not make a stranger responsible for proving that love is safe. Let consistency reveal that over time. Work. At work, the Ace of Cups favors projects you actually care about. There may be a difference between what looks successful and what feels meaningful. Saturn's retrograde in Aries can begin a longer review of professional direction and responsibility. You do not have to abandon your ambitions. But you may need to reconsider the emotional price of achieving them. This week, notice which tasks energize you and which leave you empty. That information matters. A conversation with a manager, client, collaborator, or colleague may also become easier as Mercury turns direct. Say what needs clarification. Money. As the Sun enters Leo, financial themes become more visible for Cancer. The Ace of Cups is not primarily a money card, which is precisely why its message here matters. Emotional spending can sometimes disguise itself as self-care. On the other hand, fear can make you deny yourself things that genuinely support your well-being. Look for balance. Spend according to values, not mood. This is also a good week to ask whether the way you earn money reflects what you now consider valuable. You do not need to solve that question immediately. Just notice the answer. Health and energy. Your emotional state and physical energy may be closely connected this week. The Ace of Cups asks for replenishment. Water is the obvious symbol, but think more broadly. What refills you? Sleep. Silence. Music. Time with someone safe. Creative work. A meal you enjoy. Being near water. A room where nobody needs anything from you. Your nervous system does not always need another strategy. Sometimes it needs evidence that it is allowed to soften. Make room for that. Your week day by day. Wednesday, July 22nd. The sun leaves Cancer and enters Leo. Your season closes, but the work it started does not disappear. Notice what changed in the way you see yourself during the past month. Choose one thing from Cancer season that you want to carry forward. Do not immediately chase the next transformation. Acknowledge the one already underway. Thursday, July 23rd. Mercury stations direct in Cancer. This is your turning point. Something may become easier to say, understand, or decide. A delayed conversation can reopen. You may also recognize that an answer you were seeking externally was forming inside you the entire time. Speak carefully, but do not hide unnecessarily. Friday, July 24th. Today supports warmer communication and emotional cooperation. If there is someone you have wanted to reconnect with, this may be a good day to reach out. Keep the gesture simple. Connection does not always require a perfect speech. Sometimes it begins with openness. Saturday, July 25th. Your intuition may speak quietly today. Do not confuse intensity with truth. The most useful insight may be the one that arrives without panic. Give yourself enough silence to hear what is underneath the emotional noise. Something is shifting. You do not need to name it immediately. Sunday, July 26th. Saturn stations retrograde in Aries. Career or responsibility may feel heavier today. Ask whether every expectation you carry still belongs to you. There is a difference between commitment and self-abandonment. You can take your ambitions seriously without making them the only measure of your worth. Monday, July 27th. This can be an emotionally intense and revealing day. A power dynamic may surface. A plan may shift unexpectedly. Something hidden can become easier to recognize. Do not close the cup simply because the atmosphere becomes uncomfortable. Stay receptive without surrendering your boundaries. You can remain open and protected at the same time. Tuesday, July 28th. Return to yourself. Ask what entered your emotional world this week that was not there before. Hope? Relief? Clarity? Desire? Forgiveness? Interest? Let that be enough evidence that movement occurred. Not every new beginning needs an announcement. Journal prompts. First, What am I ready to receive that I previously believed I had to earn? Second, which emotion have I been trying to solve instead of allowing myself to feel? Third, what would become possible if I stopped asking the future to guarantee that I will never be hurt again? Weekly guidance. Your assignment this week is called the Empty Cup. Take 10 quiet minutes and write down everything you are currently pouring energy into. People, work, responsibilities, family, plans, problems, expectations. Do not decide whether those things are good or bad. Just see how much you are pouring. Then make a second list. What pours back into you? Be specific. Not what should refill you. What actually does? Which person leaves you calmer? Which activity restores your attention? Which place makes your body relax? Which creative practice makes time disappear? Which boundary gives energy back? Compare the lists. If the first list is enormous and the second is almost empty, the Ace of Cups has identified your work. Choose one source of replenishment and schedule it before the week ends. Do not leave it for whatever time remains. Make room first. An empty cup cannot become generous by criticizing itself for being empty. It needs to be filled. Closing. Cancer, the Ace of Cups arrives at exactly the right moment. Your season has ended, but something inside you is beginning. Mercury turning direct in your sign allows thoughts and feelings that have been circling internally to start moving outward. The Sun entering Leo asks you to recognize your value. Saturn turning retrograde asks whether the responsibilities you carry are building the life you actually want. And through all of it, the Ace of Cups offers one invitation. Receive. Receive clarity without interrogating it. Receive affection without immediately searching for the hidden cost. Receive rest without earning it through exhaustion. Receive inspiration before demanding that it become productive. Receive your own feelings without judging them for arriving. Your heart does not need to become fearless before it can open. It only needs enough space for something new to enter. You can have boundaries and still be tender. You can remember the past and still allow the future to surprise you. You can protect what matters without closing every door. Your affirmation for this week is: my heart is open without abandoning its wisdom. I receive what nourishes me, release what has already taught me, and allow new emotional life to flow toward me. Carry that with you through July 28th. Subscribe so your next weekly reading is waiting for you. Trust the timing. The stars have spoken.